There you are, Lord Illingworth. Everyone's been looking for you. Well, except Caroline, who's been looking for Sir John. I suppose you've been giving our young friend Gerald here a great deal of good advice over a pleasant cigarette.
The best of advice, Lady Hunston, and the best of cigarettes.
I'm sorry I was not here to listen. But I suppose I'm too old now to learn. Oh, except from you, dear Archdeacon, when you're in your nice pulpit. But I always know what you're going to say, so I never feel alarmed. Oh, dear Mrs. Arbuthnot, do join us. Do come, dear. Gerald has been having such a long talk with Lord Illingworth. You must be very much flattered at the pleasant way that everything's turned out for him. Oh, oh, let's sit down. Please. How is your beautiful embroidery going on?
I'm always at work, Lady Hunston.
Mrs. Daubney embroiders a little too, doesn't she?
She was very deft with her needle. Quite a Dorcas. But the gout has crippled her fingers a good deal. She's not touched the tambour frame for, 9 or 10 years, but she has many other amusements. She's very much interested in her own health.
Well, that is always a nice distraction, isn't it not? Now, what have you been talking about, Lord Illingworth? Do tell us. I have the dim idea that you are always on the side of the sinners, and I know I always try to be on the side of the saints.
Well, the only difference between the saint and the sinner is that every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future.
Oh, God. That quite does for me, I haven't a word to say. You and I, dear Mrs. Arbuthnot, are behind the age. We can't follow Lord Illingworth. Too much care was taken with our education, I'm afraid.
I should be sorry to follow Lord Illingworth and any of his opinions.
You're quite right, dear.
Jane, have you seen John anywhere?
Oh, you needn't be anxious about him, Caroline. He's with Lady Stutfield. I saw them some time ago in the yellow drawing room, and they seemed quite happy together. Oh, you're not going, Caroline. Pray sit down.
I think I'd better look after John.
She spoils him, dear Rector. She spoils him.
Yeah.
Oh, Caroline has nothing to be anxious about. Lady Stutfield is very sympathetic. She's just as sympathetic about one thing as she is about another thing. She has a most beautiful nature.
Comedienne of ectro de coeur. That is what Lady Stutfield is.
Oh.
I delight in her.
You wretch. You delight in anyone who's pretty. And quite right, too. Oh, here is Sir John.
Oh.
With Mrs. Allenby.
Oh,
I suppose it was Mrs. Allenby I saw him with. Oh, Sir John, Caroline has been looking everywhere for you. Where have you been?
Inspecting the orchids in the conservatory, Lady Hunston.
Oh, God, I thought it was the yellow drawing room. My memory's getting so defective.
yeah.
Mrs. Daubney has a wonderful memory, has she not?
She was quite remarkable for her memory. But since her last attack, she recalls chiefly the events of her early childhood. And she has great pleasure in such retrospection. Great pleasure.
Oh. Oh, Lady Stutfield. And what has Mr. Keville been talking to you about?
About bimetallism, as well as I remember.
Bimetallism? Is that quite a nice subject? However, I know people discuss everything quite freely nowadays. What has Sir John been talking to you about, Mrs. Allenby, over the orchids?
About Patagonia.
Oh, what a remote topic. But very improving, I have no doubt.
This has been most interesting on the subject of Patagonia. The Pterodelphwagons, it seems, hold quite the same views as ourselves on practically every subject. They're excessively advanced.
What do they do?
According to Sir John, almost everything.
How gratifying, dear Archdeacon, to know that human nature is permanently one.
The world is simply divided into two classes. Those who believe the incredible, like the public, and those who do the improbable.
Like yourself?
Yes, I am always astonishing myself. It's the only thing that makes life worth living.
And what have you been doing lately that astonishes you?
I have been discovering all kinds of beautiful qualities in my own nature.
Oh, don't become quite perfect all at once. Do it gradually.
Oh, I never intend to grow perfect at all. At least I hope I shan't. It'd be most inconvenient. Women love us for our defects. If we have enough of them, they will forgive us everything, even our gigantic intellects.
Oh, I think we women should forgive everything, don't you, dear Mrs. Arbuthnot? I'm sure you agree with me in that, dear.
I do not, Lady Hunston. I think there are many things women should never forgive.
What sort of things, dear?
The ruin of another woman's life.
Well. Yeah. Those things are very sad, no doubt. But I believe there are admirable homes where people of that kind are looked after. Oh, dear Lord Alfred, do find a comfortable place. I think on the whole, the secret of life is to take things very, very easily.
Oh, the secret of life is never to have an emotion that is unbecoming.
Oh, the secret of life is to appreciate the pleasure of being terribly, terribly deceived.
The secret of life is to resist temptation, Lady Statfield.
There is no secret of life. Life's aim, if it has one, is simply to be always looking for temptations. Oh, there are not nearly enough of them. I sometimes pass a whole day without coming across a single one.
Oh, dear Lord Illingworth, I don't know why it is, but everything you've said today seems to me to be excessively immoral. It's been most interesting listening to you.
All thought is immoral. Its very essence is destruction. If you think of anything, you kill it. Nothing survives being thought of.
I don't understand a word, Lord Illingworth, but I'm quite sure it's all true. Personally, I'm beginning to forget everything. It's a great misfortune.
Oh. It is one of your most fascinating qualities, Lady Hunston. No woman should have a memory. Memory in a woman is the beginning of dowdiness.
Oh, how charming you are, Lord Illingworth. You always find out that one's most glaring fault is one's most important virtue.
Dr. Daubany's carriage.
Oh, dear Archdeacon, it's only 10:30.
Oh, I'm afraid I must be going, Lady Hunston. Tuesday is always one of Mrs. Daubany's bad nights.
Well, I won't keep you from her. Oh.
Oh.
Oh, no. I will see you as far as the hall, dear Rector. We are old enough friends for that. Oh, I've told Farker to put a brace of partridge in the carriage, as Mrs. Daubany may fancy them.
That's very kind of you, but Mrs. Daubany never touches solids now. She lives entirely on jellies. But she's wonderfully cheerful, wonderfully cheerful. She's nothing to complain of. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, Mrs. Arbuthnot. Oh.
Starlight, star bright, and all of them most happily on account.
Beautiful moon tonight.
Let us go and see its reflection in the lake. To look on anything that is inconstant is charming nowadays.
You have your mirror.
It is unkind. It merely shows me my wrinkles.
Mine is much better behaved. It never tells me the truth.
Then it is in love with you.
May I come too?
Do, my dear boy.
John! John!
Gerald!
What, Mother?
It is getting late. Let us go home.
My dear Mother, do let us wait a little longer. Lord Illingworth is so delightful. And by the way, Mother, I have a great surprise for you. We are starting for India at the end of this month.
Let us go home.
If you really want to, of course, Mother. But I must bid goodbye to Lord Illingworth first. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Let him leave me if he chooses. But not with him. Not with him.
What a lovely night it is, Mrs. Arbuthnot.
Is it?
Mrs. Arbuthnot, I wish you would let me know you better. Your son has spoken so much of you. I seem to know you quite well. When you came in this evening, somehow you brought with you a sense of what is good and pure in life. I had been foolish. There are things that are right to say, but that may be said at the wrong time and to the wrong people.
No, I heard what you said. I agree with it, Miss Worsley.
I didn't know you'd heard it. But I knew you would agree with me. A woman who has sinned should be punished, shouldn't she?
Yes.
She shouldn't be allowed into the society of good men and women.
She should not.
And the man should be punished in the same way.
In the same way. And the children, if there are children. In the same way also.
Yes. The sins of the parents should be visited on the children. It is a just law. It is God's law.
It is one of God's terrible laws.
You're distressed about your son leaving you, Mrs. Arbuthnot.
Yes.
I know you'll miss him very much.
I will miss him very much.
Do you like him going away with Lord Illingworth? Position and money are not everything, are they?
No, they are nothing. They bring misery.
Do you think Lord Illingworth a good man, Mrs. Arbuthnot?
Who is good in these days?
None of us. But some of us try to be. Why do you let your son go away with him?
He wishes it himself.
But if you asked him, he would stay, would he not?
He set his heart on going.
Well, he couldn't refuse you anything. He loves you too much. Ask him to stay.
What?
No, I think it is your duty. Let me send him to you. I can find him for you.
No trouble, Miss Wesley. I can wait.
But no, I will find him and tell him you want him. Do ask him to stay.
He won't come. He won't come. No tears, Rachel. No tears.
Sir John is not here, Mrs. Arbuthnot, is he?
No, Lady Caroline.
Oh, Mr. Arbuthnot, have you seen Sir John anywhere?
No, Lady Caroline.
This is very curious. It is time for him to retire.
Dear Mother, I'm afraid I kept you waiting. I forgot all about it. I am so happy tonight, Mother. I've never been so happy.
At the prospect of going away.
Don't put it like that, Mother. Of course I'm sorry to leave you. But as Lord Illingworth says, it is impossible to live in such a place as Rockley. You don't mind it, but I'm ambitious. I want something more than that.
Oh, don't go away with Lord Illingworth. I implore you not to, Joe. I beg you
Mother,
not to.
how changeable you are. An hour and a half ago in the drawing room, you agreed to the whole thing. Now you turn round and make objections. It is very strange that when I've had such a wonderful piece of good luck, the one person to put difficulties in my way should be my own mother. Shh. Besides, you know, Mother, I love Hester Worsley. What? I love her. More than I've ever told you. More than I can ever tell her. Far more. And if I had a position, if I had prospects, I could ask her to... If I were Lord Illingworth's secretary, I could ask Hester to be my wife.
I fear you need have no hopes of Miss Worsley.
You have always tried to crush my ambition, Mother, haven't you? You've told me the world is a wicked place, that success is not worth having, that society is shallow. Well, I don't believe it, Mother. I think the world must be delightful. I think society must be exquisite. You've been wrong in all that you taught me, Mother, quite wrong. Lord Illingworth is a successful man, a fashionable man. Well, I would give anything to be just like Lord Illingworth. Oh, God!
I would sooner see you dead.
Mother! What is your objection to Lord Illingworth? Tell me right out, what is it?
He is a bad man.
In what way bad? I don't understand.
I will tell you.
You think him bad because he doesn't believe the same things as you do. He doesn't believe all the old conventionalities one has been taught about life. He is perfectly right.
It is not what Lord Illingworth believes or does not believe that makes him bad. It is what he is.
Is it something you know of him? Something you actually know?
Yes, it is something I know.
Something you're quite sure of?
Quite sure of.
How long have you known it?
For 20 years.
Is it fair to go back 20 years in any man's career? You have always told me it is unfair to judge people on their pasts. And what have you or I to do with Lord Illingworth's early life? What business is it of ours?
Gerald, what this man has been, he is now and will be always.
Mother, tell me what Lord Illingworth did. If he did anything shameful, I will not go away with him.
Gerald, come near to me. Come. Quite close, as you used to when you were a little boy. When you were Mother's own boy. Gerald, there was a girl once. She was very young. She was a little over 18 at the time. George Harford met her.
What have you or I to do with Lord Illingworth's early life? What business is it of ours?
Gerald, what this man has been, he is now and will be always.
Mother, tell me what Lord Illingworth did. If he did anything shameful, I will not go away with him.
Gerald, come near to me. Come. Quite close, as you used to when you were a little boy. When you were Mother's own boy. Gerald, there was a girl once. She was very young. She was a little over 18 at the time. George Harford met her. She knew nothing about life. He knew everything. He made this girl love him. He made her love him so much that she left her father's house with him one morning. She stayed with him for a year abroad. She loved him so much, and he'd promised to marry her. He'd solemnly promised, and she believed him. She was very young and ignorant of what life really is. But he put the marriage off from week to week, from month to month. She trusted in him all the while. She loved him. Before her child was born, for she had a child, she implored him, for the child's sake, to marry, that the child might have a name, that her sin might not be visited on the child who was innocent. He refused. After the child was born, she left him, taking the child away. And her life was ruined. And her soul ruined. And all that was sweet and pure and good in her ruined also. She suffered terribly. She suffers now. She'll always suffer. For her, there's no atonement. She drags a chain like a guilty thing. She wears a mask, like a thing that is a leper. The fire cannot purify her, the waters cannot quench, nothing can heal her. No anodyne can give her sleep, no poppies, forgetfulness, a lost soul. That is why I call Lord Illingworth a bad man. That is why I do not want my boy to be with him.
My dear mother, it all sounds very tragic, of course. But I dare say the girl was just as much to blame as Lord Illingworth was. After all, would a really nice girl, a girl with any nice feelings at all, go away from her home with a man to whom she was not married and live with him as his wife? No nice girl would.
Gerald, I withdraw all my objections. You are at liberty to go away with Lord Illingworth when and where you choose.
Dear mother, I knew you wouldn't stand in my way. You are the best woman God ever made. And as for Lord Illingworth, I don't believe he is capable of anything infamous or base. I can't believe it of him. I can't. What is that?
Save me!
What?
Save me from him!
From whom?
He has insulted me, horribly insulted me! Save me!
Who's dead? Lord Illingworth! You've insulted the purest thing on God's earth. A thing as pure as my own mother. You've insulted the woman I love as I love my mother.
Dear boy.
You are infamous, foul, polluted. As there is a God in heaven, I will kill you.
No!
Don't hold me, mother. Don't hold me. I'll kill him.
Gerald!
Let me go, I say. Don't hold me.
Stop, Gerald, stop! He is...
Rachel, don't
kill
say
him!
that.
He is your own father!